When I was first getting into the Dark Souls series, I remember struggling against the Bell Gargoyles, so I called in Solaire, who completely stomped them, and I felt robbed. More so that I had robbed myself of a good fight. A tough fight that was kicking my ass at the moment, but a fair fight that was telegraphing attacks, giving me room to attack. I just hadn't committed enough to the fight. That fight, that unearned victory, changed the entire playthrough for me. Like an anime protagonist, I vowed to solo every boss I came across, and eventually found myself taking on the likes of Manus, feeling the rush, feeling the excitement. I understood the Dark Souls experience. Now, in the shadow of the Erdtree DLC for Elden Ring, I was struggling against Rilana. I kept on trying to fight her myself. I couldn't. I just hit the point where I was like, fuck it, I'm calling in the Mimic Tier, who completely stomped her, and once again I felt robbed. This time it didn't feel like I had robbed myself. More so the game had robbed me of my fun by giving me a boss that was too hard to solo fairly and too easy to cheese with a summon. The difficulty had finally been tipped too far, and I wasn't having fun. Now, this isn't something out of nowhere. The latter half of Elden Ring was already heading in that direction. Bosses with massive health bars, multi-attack combos, little room to breathe, BS input reading. And at the time, it was something brought up by other people.
So many enemies in this game can kill you in 1 or 2 hits, or kill you with a combo that comes out so fast it feels like 1 hit, or they can stun you into another hit, which also feels like a 1-hit kill, or they can just kill you in 1 grab, straight up. Having super aggressive enemies with crazy combos and unpredictable attacks is the fun kind of difficult, but making those moves hit for your entire health bar is fucking lame and cheap.
There's so much about this combat system's design that is based around forcing you to wait around while the boss has fun, and it's not even another person, it's an AI. I do not understand it. The end result is encouraging builds that can deal damage to the boss while staying away from them, or just hit trading. I know there is a way to do these fights hitless if you're patient enough, or build yourself to burst them down quickly, but like I said at the start of this section, that makes me feel like I'm playing the game wrong, because it's not about it being too hard, it's that it's not fun, it's boring.
Seriously, go watch A Shattered Masterpiece by Joseph Anderson. It's such a well-rounded review. But it was also accepted because it was the later half of a massive game and the difficulty was on that line. But yeah, Melania is that example of the boss who took it right up and balanced on that tipping point. She's the toughest boss in the game, but also optional and hidden away. Massive health bar, heals when she hits you, waterfowl dance, scarlet rot, you know the stuff. But if you examine the fight, there's actual breathing room. You can run to the other side of the arena to heal. She does well telegraphed, like 3 attack combos, with room to dodge and counter. But like I said, it was on that line. She was bullshit for loads of people, but also still doable. And now the new DLC makes her look like a bitch. It took all the bullshit from the second half of the base game and just ran with it. You go up against bosses with 9-hit combos. They'll insta-spin round if you get behind them. They'll obliterate you with massive area effect attacks. And 1 slip up can kill you in 2 hits. For some people, that's heaven. It's what they wanted. Upping the difficulty is a staple of From Software. But they've been upping the difficulty consistently for years, and it's clear that it's starting to hit more and more people's limits. A fight has gone from tough but fair to just tedium and bullshit tat that you have to hit back with bullshit just to survive yourself. Pausing on the bosses, I just want to get back to that moment where I beat Rilana. But once again, my playthrough of the game changed trajectory. I was just hit with a sense of pointlessness this time round. every fight was going to be harder than the previous, or just as easy with the Mimic Tier. And there was no incentive to explore. The whole incentive for fighting base enemies has been lost. There's no point killing enemies for runes because of the Skadu Tree blessings. Yeah, they're important, but they don't help as much as you think going up against the end boss anyway. But every other item in the world is just a cookbook now, so exploration of the world has become meaningless. It's in true exploration, because all you need to do is just run past all the enemies just to head for the blessings. There's no benefit to staying and fighting. The world has stopped asking you to respect it. I do want to take a side note and mention the good. Yeah, the game looks beautiful, the music is awesome, and the look of some of the bosses are peak design. Also, yeah, the map is massive. They did understate it when they said it was the size of Limgrave. You can tell a lot of effort and passion was put into it over the few years it took to make. One great example is as you're heading to the final boss, you find yourself in a castle above the clouds. There's such tone and a vibe, like you're nearing the end of a long adventure. You've defeated most of the enemies and gone through legit growth. But yeah, none of that felt earned. Like, hey, this is cool, but I'm just not invested in it. Like, I wasn't invested in most of the DLC. I just thought it wasn't worth it. So I left a negative review on Steam. That's okay, right? Plenty of games, plenty of expansions are downvoted. If you don't like something, then you're allowed to say so. Right? Oh my god, what the hell happened? Okay. At the time of recording, it's sitting on mixed reviews. I reckon it will hit positive as the initial shock wears off. But we just need to look at the responses to these reviews. You got people responding with clown emojis, actual small essays and paragraph after paragraph of people explaining why they don't like it, just to be met with backlash. Like, for real, some people's own egos are so tied into this game that they can't accept a negative review or a negative criticism at all. Look at the influencers, the streamers, the gaming YouTubers, people who I actually respected. Guys like Iron Pineapple tweeting, "I'm so disappointed with this community. What the fuck, bro?" Critical saying shit like, "If you can't beat the Elden Ring DLC, you have the skill of a gaming journalist."
You either die a gamer or live long enough to see yourself become a journalist. The shoe's on the other foot here. So now there's people just fucking moaning about it being too difficult and being upset about that.
Saying shit like, "If you don't like it, you're being childish."
Like, if you're struggling to a point that you're about to cast self-destruct like a Voltorb and leave a incendiary negative review on Steam because you can't beat the dancing lion, just use a fucking summon. You aren't good enough to do it without, clearly, and what are you trying to prove anyway? Just use a summon, get through the boss, and enjoy the game. Like, it's not like you're out here trying to prove yourself as a man or whatever. Just use a summon in that case. Like, I saw so many reviews saying, like, "I refuse to summon, but I also can't beat any of these enemies, so this DLC fucking sucks, it's poorly designed." No, you're just trash. Like, you're just trash, and you're not able to reach the challenge you've set for yourself. So, how about instead of blaming the DLC for your shortcoming, just use a summon, go grab some Skadu Tree fragments, and enjoy it. Like, this doesn't need to be some kind of torturous struggle.
I feel like I'm being gaslit. There's actual people who said they didn't like it. No screaming, no shouting. Just a negative review, and some people are losing their fucking minds. I don't get it. Imagine saying you don't like a game and someone returning around and just saying, "You're being childish." It's like, bro, you could still enjoy it. I just don't fucking like it, mate. Dark Souls was never about a boss dying. It was about you beating the boss. Something that's become available to less people in the DLC. Posts on Reddit about how you're not using the right setup, switching to using specific talismans. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. Optimizing your build, leveling yourself up in terms of skill and equipment is a staple of RPGs. But what's the point of this being an RPG with hundreds of weapons, dozens of talismans, if the difficulty is pushing you to use specific ones. If you admit you're struggling and enjoying it, well, that's been a part of the From Software community, myself included, but struggling always within certain reason. Everyone has the limits, and this DLC clearly has started hitting those limits for more and more people. People are going to jump in with the casual comments. If you don't like it, you're not a real fan. I've been playing these games for a decade, soloed the likes of Manus, Gale, Melania, and I still love these games. Dark Souls in particular has always been something you have to experience. But now it's something else. It's just stopped being fun. The difficulty has gone up and up. It started to hit BS levels in parts of Elden Ring, and they doubled down on it with the DLC. If you like that idea, then yeah, you'll love this game, and I would recommend it to you. But if that sounds like too much, no, I don't recommend. If you have a problem with that to the point when you need to kick off an uproar online because someone doesn't like your favorite thing, then yeah, it's you. You're the one with maidenless behavior.
I don't like this thing, but I like that thing. I like that thing. What the fuck? I like that thing. You know, there are people who exist that like that thing. We will not be silenced, you fucking son of a bitch! I like that thing. I like that thing.
Balls.